Alexander III, or as they call him, Alexander the Great, is one of the most important kings of ancient times. He lived between 356 BC and 323 BC. At a very young age, and in a very short time, he was able to conquer the Middle East, Egypt, and parts of Asia. Born in Pella, Macedonia, to King Philip II and Queen Olympias, a legend surrounding his birth claims that his mother dreamt that lightning struck her womb and she believed she was pregnant by Zeus. Alexander was raised as a noble child, learning how to read, play the lyre, as well as fighting and hunting. At the age of 10, he managed to tame a wild horse in front of his father, who was so impressed that he told his son the famous phrase, "Macedon is too small for your ambition, my boy. You deserve a great kingdom." Alexander named the horse Bucephalus, and it remained his trusted horse until its death after carrying him through many great battles. In tribute, Alexander named a city Bucephala after his beloved horse. When Alexander was 13, he was tutored by the great philosopher Aristotle. He taught him philosophy, medicine, science, ethics, and art. By the age of 16, when his father left him in charge as regent and heir, Alexander began his military duties. During King Philip's absence, Alexander displayed outstanding military leadership. Even upon Philip's return, Alexander continued to campaign against the Greek states, fighting alongside his father and aiding him in taking control over Greece. King Philip was assassinated by the captain of his bodyguard under mysterious circumstances, and at the age of 20, Alexander was crowned king. Alexander eliminated all potential competitors to his throne and quickly responded to state revolts, consolidating control over Greece. During his campaign, there was a famous encounter between Alexander and Diogenes the Cynic. When Alexander asked Diogenes what he could do for him, the philosopher simply requested Alexander to move, as he was blocking the sunlight. Amused, Alexander remarked, "If I were not Alexander, I would like to be Diogenes." Alexander began a series of wars that lasted 10 years against the Persian Achaemenid Empire. Starting by crossing the sea to northern Minor Asia, present-day Turkey, the first battle occurred on the banks of the Granicus River, where Alexander's forces prevailed. The Battle of Issus followed, marking the first confrontation with Darius III himself. The Macedonian army emerged victorious, capturing Darius' family, though he managed to escape. When Alexander captured the Persian king's family, he showed them great respect and ensured they were treated as royalty. Securing much of the coast of Asia Minor, Alexander then laid siege to Tyre, situated on the eastern shores of ancient Syria, modern-day Lebanon. The city was a powerful and heavily fortified city-state. After several attempts, Alexander successfully built a mole to support a bridge, eventually taking Tyre after a fierce battle. And this conquest was indeed a major achievement for Alexander. This was followed by the siege of Gaza. After a considerable victory, Alexander ordered the slaughter of its male inhabitants and enslaved the women and children. Entering Egypt, he was surprisingly welcomed as a king and placed on the throne of pharaohs. Later, he founded Alexandria there, destined to become one of the most celebrated cities of the ancient world. It's worth noting that Alexander founded several cities named Alexandria across his empire, but the one in Egypt is the most famous. In Egypt, Alexander made a journey to the Siwa oasis to consult the oracle of Amun. It's said that he was confirmed as a divine son of the god Amun during this visit. The exact words spoken by the oracle remain a mystery, as Alexander never revealed them, but they deeply affected him. Then Alexander advanced to the heart of Persia to face Darius III's massive army at the Battle of Gaugamela in what is now northern Iraq. It was a great victory for Alexander. Though Darius managed to flee, he was later betrayed and killed by one of his satraps, who then declared himself his successor. Following the Battle of Gaugamela, Alexander took control of the Persian Empire, signaling the fall of the Persian Achaemenid Empire. It's worth to mention that Alexander began adopting Persian customs, attire, and the practice of proskynesis, a form of ceremonial bowing. This was not just a strategic move, but also a genuine appreciation of the culture. However, these actions were not well received by his Macedonian troops, who saw them as foreign and demeaning. Alexander's campaign was not only about conquest and glory. He sent back to Greece a variety of new plants, animals, and a detailed report on the cultures he encountered, significantly contributing to Greek knowledge of the world. He then moved on to Babylon, Susa, and finally Persepolis, in present-day a city in Iran. The journey to Persepolis required passing through a narrow mountain pass where a Persian ambush awaited. Despite initial heavy losses, Alexander's forces broke through. Months after arriving at Persepolis, a fire swallowed the city, believed by some to be retribution for the Persians' earlier destruction of the Acropolis in Athens. And of course, this is debatable historically. At the Sogdian Rock, a fortress in Sogdiana, north of Bactria, Alexander encountered staunch resistance. The defenders refused to surrender. Oxyates of Bactria's wife and daughters were in the fortress. Alexander ordered 300 men to climb the cliffs at night, catching the defenders off guard and compelling their surrender. Alexander fell in love with Roxana, Oxyates' daughter. Roxana, whom ancient historians described as the most beautiful woman in the world. Alexander eventually married her. Alexander then invited the chieftains of Gandhara in the north of what is now the Jhelum River in the Pakistani region to submit to his authority. While some complied, others resisted, leading to brutal campaigns in which Alexander was gravely injured on 2 occasions. After subduing Gandhara, Alexander moved into Punjab, where he defeated the regional king, Porus, at the Battle of the Hydaspes. Alexander was impressed by Porus' leadership and bravery, and subsequently reinstated him as a regional governor under Macedonian authority. Beyond lay the formidable Nanda Empire of Magadha near the Ganges River. However, his weary troops mutinied at the Hyphasis River, refusing to go further east, marking the easternmost boundary of Alexander's conquests. Returning to Babylon, Alexander fell seriously ill after a night of heavy drinking and died for unknown reasons at the age of 32. Alexander's death remains one of the great mysteries of history, and the cause is still debated by historians. Alexander changed the course of history. The blend of myths, legends, and historical facts surrounding Alexander's life makes him one of the most intriguing figures of antiquity. During his 13-year reign, he established one of the largest empires of the ancient world. One can only wonder what more he might have achieved had he lived longer.